Every year, the strongest people on the planet fly to a sheep pen in rural Iceland to lift a 410-pound rock off the ground. No barbell, no handles, just a smooth, triangular slab of basalt that's been humbling grown men for over 250 years. It's called the Husafell stone, and it's been featured in the world's strongest man competition. Halford Julius Bjornsson, yes, the mountain from Game of Thrones, holds the current carry record on it. And the wildest part? This isn't a gimmick somebody invented for TV. It's a literal Viking-era job interview, still being used to crown the strongest athletes alive. That's the thread we're pulling today. Vikings weren't training in a gym. They were training by accident, through the brutal demands of daily survival. And what they ended up with looks almost exactly like what modern strength coaches are now telling you to do on purpose. Let's start with that rock, because the backstory is better than the lift itself. In the cove at Dritvik, on Iceland's west coast, fishing crews used a set of graded lifting stones to sort their workers. Centuries ago, when dozens of fishing boats operated out of that harbor, captains needed a fast way to know exactly how much a man could handle before putting him on a boat. So they lined up stones of different weights. Heavier stone, bigger share of the catch and the pay. Lift the big one, you're fullstyrker, full strength, and you get treated accordingly. Lift only the small one, you get a smaller cut. This wasn't a sport. It was a hiring algorithm made out of rock because nobody had spreadsheets. Now fast forward to today. The Atlas Stones event you've seen in every strongman competition, loading giant spherical stones onto platforms, is a direct, deliberate descendant of this exact tradition. Strongman champions like John Paul Sigmarsson and Magnus Vermagnusson built their legends partly on these same Icelandic stones. Modern competitors fly to Husafell specifically to attempt the original. The workout wasn't designed by a sports scientist. It was designed by economic necessity on a fishing dock, and it turned out to be one of the best strength tests anyone's ever come up with. And the stones aren't even the most absurd Viking-era strength legend. According to saga tradition, an Icelander named Orm Sturluson once had 50 men hoist a longship's mast, reportedly over 1,400 pounds, onto his shoulders, and he allegedly carried it 3 steps before his back gave out. 1,000 years later, in 2015, modern strongman Halford Bjornsson paid direct tribute to that legend at the world's strongest Viking competition, carrying a 1,433-pound log on his back for 5 steps. Same absurd challenge, same culture, a millennium apart. Sports historians don't treat that as coincidence. It's a direct lineage, with modern strongman openly building events to recreate Viking-age feats of strength. Here's the part that actually matters for your training. A barbell is symmetrical, balanced, and predictable. A 186-kilogram triangular stone is none of those things. Its center of mass shifts as you lift it. You have to fight it into position before you can even think about lifting it. Then keep fighting it the entire time you're carrying it. That instability is exactly why strength coaches have spent the last 15 years pushing odd object training. Sandbags, kegs, stones, anything that doesn't load evenly. A predictable barbell trains one specific movement pattern. An unpredictable load forces your stabilizer muscles, grip, core, and coordination to work constantly, which transfers far better to real-world strength than a perfect barbell rep ever will. One modern stone lifting strongman put it simply after a Husafell attempt. It's not just about being big and strong. It's a separate skill from a max deadlift, because you need strength and cardiovascular endurance working together for the entire carry, not just for one explosive second. Vikings weren't chasing functional training as a buzzword. They just lived in a world made entirely of odd objects: boats, oars, cargo, livestock, rocks. So that's what their bodies adapted to handle. Now let's talk about Glima, Norse wrestling, and the one Viking-age sport that survived completely intact into the present day, still practiced in Iceland exactly as it was 1,000 years ago. Unlike a lot of brute force wrestling traditions, Glima rewards technique, balance, and quick footwork over raw strength. Boys started training in it as young as 7 or 8. Here's the detail that should genuinely surprise you. One modern coach who studies and teaches Glima makes a blunt comparison. The entire sport is essentially a burpee. The win condition in a Glima exchange isn't just a throw, It's how fast you get back up off the ground afterward, front or back, ready to go again. That single mechanic, get knocked down, recover instantly, re-engage, is now considered foundational in everything from MMA scramble training to CrossFit conditioning. The Vikings weren't doing burpees for fat loss. They were training the literal physical skill of not staying down. It would be easy to assume all of this was instinctive, with zero actual training theory behind it. But a detailed treatise written in Scandinavia shortly after the Viking Age describes something startlingly close to a coaching manual. It recommends training with weapons noticeably heavier than the ones you'd actually fight with, which is, in plain language, progressive overload. Train harder than the task demands, so the task itself feels easy by comparison. The same text stresses the value of training with a capable partner rather than alone, and even flags the importance of staying hydrated during a hard session. Strip away the swords, and you're left with 3 principles every modern strength coach repeats verbatim. Overload your training above competition demand. Train with a partner who pushes you and can spot your form. And don't skip the water bottle. None of that required a lab. It required centuries of people getting it wrong in combat and surviving long enough to write down what worked. Put the pieces together, and a Viking raid itself starts to look suspiciously like a modern competition workout. Row hard for distance. Jump out of the boat. Sprint, grab, fight. Carry heavy loot back to the boat. Row away, fast, under pressure. That's not a metaphor. That's a literal description of the physical demands of the job, and it's also structurally almost identical to a mixed modal strength and conditioning circuit. Full body output, shifting between explosive power and sustained aerobic grind, repeated under fatigue. Rowing itself was serious business, reserved specifically for free men. Enslaved people weren't allowed to row Viking boats, which tells you how much status was tied to that endurance capacity. Swimming was trained too, sometimes as straightforward distance races out to open water, sometimes as genuinely dangerous underwater holding contests. Archery, spear throwing, and tug-of-war rounded out a physical culture that, frankly, reads like a strongman and conditioning decathlon. Except nobody was doing it for a medal. They were doing it because the alternative was drowning, losing a fight, or starving. So why are modern athletes circling back to all of this on purpose? Because Vikings, without any exercise science, were forced by circumstance into training principles we now consider gold standard. Load variability instead of fixed, predictable weight, technical skill and recovery speed instead of pure strength, and mixed modal conditioning instead of single skill specialization. Modern functional fitness and strongman culture have essentially reverse-engineered Viking daily life and turned it into programming. Annie Thorisdottir, the 2-time fittest woman on earth, grew up in the same Icelandic culture that produced these lifting stones. Coaches building Viking-style conditioning programs today are explicitly modeling drills on rowing sprint carry sequences and Glyma ground recovery work, because they already know it builds exactly the kind of athlete modern sports demand, strong, but also able to recover and re-engage instantly, under load, without a clean, predictable setup. The Vikings didn't reverse engineer anything. Their entire society was the training program, running constantly in the background of ordinary survival. We just had to wait 1,000 years, build a sports science department, and rediscover that it already worked. So the next time someone shows you their functional fitness program full of sandbag carries, odd object lifts, and ground recovery drills, you can tell them it's not new. It's a fishing cruise hiring test, 1,000-year-old wrestling style, and the basic shape of a raid, repackaged with better marketing. If you want more ancient training systems broken down and matched against what elite athletes are doing right now, subscribe, because history keeps building better workouts than we do, and we keep being shocked it's been sitting there the whole time.